welcome to season 6.
So weird. It is season 6. We've been doing this for 6 seasons.
Yeah, right as I was hitting the record button, Diana was like, wait, what season are we on? And I was like, oh my gosh. This
I
is
thought it was
season
season 4.
6.
I thought it was 4. Oops. We're on 6.
Yeah.
You know that all of the college guys are going 6. Evil.
I'm not convinced that any of them, except for the John Roy, actually listens to us.
Chris listens to us sometimes. Shane listens to us when you make him.
Occasionally, yeah. He used to listen to every episode, and then I think he got tired of us. Now he listens to like the ones that I'm like, you want to hear this one.
In his defense, he hears all the things we talk about probably multiple times.
Yeah. And he also kind of like, he occasionally hears occasionally hears me edit.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, like, I'm fine.
Yeah. She's not dying.
Don't listen to what my mother tells anybody. I don't think I have COVID, but I have something. I think it's allergies. But I don't know that we have had a spring or fall season that I have not been coughing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is like, we're just used to it at this point.
Yeah. Well, I vote allergies too, because everyone in our house has had in the last 2 weeks some kind of crud. Like, it's been like sinus, behind the ears, in the throat. We've all had some kind of crud in the last 2 weeks. And I'm just at the point where I can breathe and it's not making me crazy. Like, it was like all, I don't know if you guys can feel that, where it's like back here, like it's behind your nose, kind of, but it's not like in your ears. It's way too descriptive, sorry, but
I feel mine in my
what it is.
chest.
Mine's all in my head. It hasn't been in my chest, but it's been all in my head. Cough. We have a cough button now. It's called
So
the
there's
mute.
that. Yes. I started to cough without it. I was like, no, I will deafen everyone. I had to go. This is a catch-up episode.
Yes.
And I don't feel like I have a whole lot to give input on this time. But more death.
More death.
It is just
It's
the
the year
story.
for you guys.
Yeah. When we recorded our last episode a few weeks ago, I didn't share on the podcast, but the night before, or the day before, my sister-in-law's grandmother passed away. And I had made plans to attend the funeral, but then they asked that I babysit my niece instead. And I'm more than happy. Like, please make me useful in those situations. Pretty please.
Yeah.
Help
you. Let me help you.
But just before getting on the call with Diana, I had found out that a friend of mine had passed. And was just devastated. But he lived a life, man. And like, he lived a life that's the way I want my funeral to be. Those of you that know me and went to my wedding, you know, I cannot stand to go to a wedding and hear 1 Corinthians 13 read.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, it is done to death.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm most likely going to get a 1 Corinthians 13 tattoo, because at his funeral, the speaker was saying, like, Danny, he was so sweet and so kind, and he loved so deeply. It didn't matter if he'd known you for 5 years or 5 minutes. He loved you so deeply, and he didn't treat you any different. And like saying all these things, he was so patient. And then after he's finishing his speech, he reads 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not boast. And you realize, like, yeah, Danny was each of those things. And then he was just there to read the obituary.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual minister was a former pastor of mine. And he read a poem. I don't even remember the name of it or the author. I need to look that up.
You need to write that down before you forget.
Yeah. That was talking about when you see a date on a headstone, you see two sets of years. You see a birth year and a death year, and then a little dash in between. And that little dash is your entire lifetime. What do you want in your little dash? Because Danny wanted 1 Corinthians 13 in his dash. So, like, I've got to get that on a tattoo. I've got to. But I said all of that to say, immediately following that funeral, like 3 days later, we go on a vacation. And the first leg of that vacation was our church's uh, state convention, where all of the churches in the state come together and we have like massive church services for a few days. Day 2 of convention, we're talking to a guy that was at the funeral, and he's like, it's so weird. Everybody that I've talked to from the funeral is sick. And my mom was like,
Oh no.
what?
Oh no.
And he's like, yeah, every one of us are coughing. Hey, look at all of us. We've got sinus stuff going on. We're coughing. Every single one of us. And my mom was like, Josh, that sounds like COVID. Is this COVID? Do we all have COVID?
You're not
And
gonna
he's like,
Mama. Like, we've had this enough times. We built our immunities up. You're gonna die from it. It's gonna be okay.
we were just like, he was like, I don't think that's what this is. But then, like, sure enough, that night, my mom started coughing. And like 2 or 3 days later, E starts coughing. And on our last day of vacation, I start coughing. And I was like, okay, did we all catch a virus? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
If all of us have it, all of us hugged,
Mm-hmm.
we all shook hands.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably like a bug. I don't think it was COVID because I never felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I felt bad is if I've like done a little extra work,
Mm-hmm.
like pushing a kid in a wagon to get him to a bluegrass festival. My chest felt a little funky after that. I've avoided the gym for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been sick. Like, I've never felt bad. I've just had a really horrible cough that was very inconvenient attending an outdoor wedding under a tree. Beautiful wedding.
Uh-huh.
I would love to have gotten to enjoy it,
Uh-huh.
but I was too busy giving my ab muscles a workout, trying my best to keep a cough in and not being successful.
Uh-huh. You need to post a picture of you and your handsome hubs on Instagram from the wedding, because you are looking fine.
Thank you. Especially now that we have a toddler, we don't get dressed up much.
Right.
But we had a lot going on this week, and I may as well just go ahead and get all of my stuff out of the way because just in a random conversation is coming up. Um, we had a TPR hearing this week on Thursday.
If you're only listening to Diana, get a happy dance.
Yes. TPR was granted for every party. We are officially in our appellate window. And so, like, we're moving forward. But what we thought was 30 days has been extended. And I found out that it was going to be extended on Tuesday. We went to court on Thursday. So Wednesday is Shane's birthday. And Tuesday night, the anxiety hits me. Like, I have been cool, calm, collected through this entire process because I'm like, I know what's happening.
Yeah.
I've done my research. I've talked to enough people. I'm not worried.
You know what to expect.
And then we have a surprise visit by a social worker, which I'll talk about when I can. But we have a surprise visit by a social worker, and then she drops a bomb on us. They're like, oh, yeah, that 30-day window that we've talked about
This
for
entire
2.5 years now is actually a minimum of 60 days. And then I find out on Thursday, like, oh no, that is best case scenario, that it is 60 days. And another girl didn't have to go to court. She had adopted a kid out of foster care where mom had passed and dad was in jail, and dad voluntarily signed away his rights. And it was still 6 months between TPR and being assigned a new worker. And I was like, oh, honey, no, not me. Not me. I will drive everyone crazy. I
and
will.
right too, because this I have strong feelings, listeners, because if anyone had a case to sue the state, it's Amanda and Shane. There have been mishandlings after mishandlings after mishandlings after mishandlings the entire time E has been in their home.
Yeah.
And not through any fault of their own. They've done all of the paperwork on time, all of the time.
At least most of the time.
Well, what you knew about, the
Yeah,
ones that you do, you didn't know about because your social worker didn't tell you.
pretty much. Once everything is done and official, I would like to do an episode,
I think you should.
like doing a catch up on this is what my experience has been in the foster care system. And like, it's not all been bad.
No, but most of it, there's been so many parts that have just been stupid and unnecessary.
Yeah. Um, but like, I'm the type of person, I was talking to my therapist today. I was like, listen, the day this appellate window closes, you best believe I'm going to start making weekly phone calls at least to everyone, the cabinet attorney, their office, uh, my worker,
Your
my
lawyer.
lawyer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, how we doing? Where we at? Are we any closer? Who do I need to talk to? Do I need to fill anything out? Because come on.
Yeah.
And like, I get, here's the thing.
No excuse.
Yeah. The cabinet attorney once told me, I'm not going to put cases ahead of yours. And I was like, great. I'm not asking you to put cases ahead of mine. I wouldn't want you to put cases ahead of mine. I want you to get those cases done too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's go. Come on.
That's all done. There's no
Yeah.
reason not.
But that's a whole thing. But
Diana will be fired up. I can't.
yeah. Tuesday night, a week ago today, I was sitting in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm crying my eyes out. And Shane is like, what can we do? What can I do to help you? What can we do to make you feel better? And I was like, I just want someone to wash my and he was like, I can try to make that happen for you. And I'd been trying to get in with my hairdresser for a while, and he didn't have any cancellations. We were hoping he would. He didn't have any cancellations, and I decided too late that, like, I needed something. I needed some self-care, and that self-care needed to be with my hair because I'm not happy with the color, and I wasn't happy with the cut, and I wasn't happy with any of it. It was
Mhm.
dry and damaged looking, and it just looked terrible. And so Shane found a salon in town that did online, like, service, like, requesting services. And I, put in that I needed a blowout and a cut with a scalp treatment, and
Mhm.
it's, like, 1:30 in the morning at this point. And when I got into the salon that day, this poor little girl, she just graduated school, and she came over, and she was like, "Hey, are we okay, sis?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a little anxious, a little stressed out. You're saving my life. Like, you don't even know what you're doing for me right now in my mental health." And she's like, "You booked this at 1:30 this morning. Are you sure you're okay? Like, do we need to talk? Are you good?"
Are you safe?
I was like, "I procrastinated, and I'm a mom, and I put stuff off anyway for me because, like, everyone else needs to have haircuts done, and everyone else needs to be taken care of, and I'll get in there if I can."
Mhm.
And so, like, here we are, and the cut didn't save to the appointment, just the scalp treatment. Well,
Oh,
and that was part of the blowout.
yeah.
And we're talking, and she's getting ready to style my hair, and I go, "Do you have time?" And she's like, "Yeah, what do you need?" And I was like, "Can you just give me a trim?" Or I said, "Can you cut my hair?" And she's like, "Yeah, do you want just a trim?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, where do you usually have it come to?" And I was like, "It usually comes to my shoulders." And she's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, that's where I always wear my hair. Like, I always have my hair cut to my shoulders or my clavicle at best."
Mhm.
Um, but that's how I've worn it for years. I hadn't thought about the fact that I've only gone to a salon twice in 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Like, that was the 3rd time. And she's like, "Is this the trauma talking?" And I was like, "No, this is seriously, like, how I wear my hair." She's like, "Okay." And she cuts and she's like, "This is a good look for you." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then afterwards, like, I stand up and I'm walking away, and I was like, "That's a lot of hair." She's like, "That's like 6 inches, honey."
Uh-huh. That's why I was so unsure. That's why I was, like, sure this is what you wanna do.
Yeah, she's like, That's why I kept asking, like, this isn't a trim.
Mhm.
You had a haircut." It's like, "Oh."
Trim is like this much.
I was like, "Well, that's thanks." It's like, "This is what I would normally look like." And sure enough, like, nobody noticed
Mhm.
because that's typical for me. But yeah, we've had some things happen. There was a vacation in there. We went to Branson. It was fun while we were there, but on the way over, we decided we didn't wanna go there anymore. I don't think I've talked to you about any of that.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, so we were gonna drive to Branson because we were already on the western part of the state anyway, so, like, let's just go. Has to be right there, right? All of us thought Branson was, like, on the eastern part of Missouri.
Mhm.
It's not.
Okay. What is it?
We
'Cause
were all we were all thinking, like, it's, like, 3 or 4 hours, which would then make it, like, 6 hours home.
mhm.
6 to 8. 10 hours there. We didn't get out of church until 2.
No.
We pulled in the condo at what was 11:45 Eastern time.
Oh no.
And on the way there, I did all the driving. On the way there, Shane's like, "You're gonna come into some severe thunderstorms."
Of course he is, because that's what he does.
And I always tell him, like, "Thunderstorm is no big deal to me. I don't get worried about a thunderstorm.
I'll drive through.
I will take a shower during a thunderstorm." He hates that, by the way. And I was like, "Listen, just once we're in it, I don't want to know any information about it. Once we're in it, I want you to tell me when it'll be over." And he's like, "Okay, I can do that." Mom doesn't hear this conversation in the back seat because she has headphones in. We start to hit the rain, and he's like, "You're gonna have some wind. Like, you need to know about the wind." And I was like, "Okay, no big deal. It's wind." And he's looking, and he's like, "I'm not seeing any rotation, so I think we're gonna be good." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're in the Midwest."
It's tornado country. This is tornado territory. Oh no.
I was like, "Okay." I was like, "What are we talking here, Shane?" He goes, 80 miles an hour." I
That's
was like, "Oh,
that's a lot of wind.
okay."
Justified.
And I
This
was,
is justified.
and like we're driving, and I was like, "Hey, I feel like it's safer for me to stay behind a semi, right? Like I don't want to be on either side of them in case they were to go either direction." And I was like, "By the way, which way is the wind moving?" And he's able to tell me. Thank God I married a meteorologist in moments like that. We hit the worst of it in St. Louis.
Oh boy.
So not only do I have storm that I'm driving through, but there's also
Lewis traffic.
traffic
Uh-huh.
on a Sunday evening. No, Saturday evening.
Oh.
And then once I got out of that, I was just like, "Yeah, I'm done." And I'm not like, I don't want to say anything to anybody in the car
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to like color their view of how this is going. And then once we get there, I was like, "Oh, guys, I'm glad we're here." But I didn't want to say anything. But about halfway here, I decided I didn't want to go here anymore. And Mom and Shane were both like, "Oh my gosh, me too." The drive back was the same way. Like we didn't hit storms or anything, but it was 12 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So,
Not going there anymore.
well, if we break it up, I would be okay with it. Like if we stayed somewhere around like the line, like if we stayed in Paducah, it wouldn't be a problem at all. But that was an adventure. Once we were there, we loved it. It was a great condo. I'm still texting the host of this Airbnb. They've sold me a mattress. Like it was a wonderful stay. We had a really good time. There were tons of museums. It was all about E. He loved it. I couldn't ask for anything else. But other than that and canning, that was my month. More funerals. We have another one this weekend. Um, Vacation in court. That's all we had. We started school too, but I don't
Overage.
know that I don't know that that counts.
You're an
Because like
overage.
well, ours is really simple, and like we're doing. Do you remember at Easter? I bought The Good Gospel off of Peaceful Press.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I was totally expecting it just to be like a little Lent curriculum. It wasn't.
It's
It was
intense.
$25 for a full year,
Yep.
26-week curriculum. And so I was like, okay, we'll make this work. And so like that's really all we're doing this year
Hmm.
is we're just doing Peaceful Press and adding in some STEAM activities.
When he gets bigger, we have been doing Playful Pioneers from Peaceful
Yes,
and love it.
I
And
really want to do that.
I have heard from other families who have done Peaceful Kingdom that they love that as well. And where Playful Pioneers is like American history, especially like Western expansion, um, Peaceful Kingdom is more global kind of history. I know one of the books that they do is the Narnia series, though, because it's set in England in World War II. Um,
That would be
so,
wonderful.
yeah, I absolutely love the Peaceful Press curriculum all the way. It's probably not enough for your older kids to be like a whole curriculum. And even like in first and second grade, they're like, you need to add some phonics and you need to add some math. But they've got lots of like hands-on stuff you do. They've got lots of handwriting practice. They have verse memorization. They have poetry suggestion memorization. They have picture study. They have awesome reading lists. Um, and they've got a schedule made out for you and everything. Like it's a really nice little curriculum.
Yeah. Like we just started the Peaceful Press stuff today. We've done some stuff over the last couple of weeks, but it's been really relaxed just to help us start to find a rhythm.
Yeah, get
And I decided like that's what I wanted to be our anchor, that we would start with that thing first, even on vacation,
mm-hmm.
and build out from there. And so today was our first day of like a legit curriculum. He loved it. He has been walking around all day going, A is for apple, apple, because A is the letter of the week. And he learned today that there are big letters and little letters.
Nice.
And he wanted to correct me because he was like, what is that?
Of course.
And I was like, oh, that's an A. And he goes, no, that's A. What is that? I was like, that's a little A. And he goes, a little A. And I show him a picture and I was like, this is
Not
an A.
making this up, Mom.
I was like, this is a big A. This is a little A. And he's like, little A. It's adorable. He colored a picture, wanted to hang it up on the fridge to show Dad when he got home, and then decided it didn't need to be in the fridge. It needed to be in the living room for everyone to see when Dad got home. We showed off to Nan. It's been adorable.
Of course.
But all of that was my week, my month. How was yours?
So if we're going all the way back to July, which I'm having a hard time remembering, I feel like, um, I brought my calendar because that's what I do. And FYI, I don't know if you can see this, but
It's super cute.
I love this calendar. They're called Beacorns, and it's this guy named David M. Bird. He makes these little acorn people characters, and he photographs them with birds. And he sets up these really elaborate, like I guess you call it staging with the little Beacorn characters, but he has like bird feeders and bird feed, and or like there's one with a bird bath that he sets up so that he can get them interacting with the actual characters and the real birds. And if you have time to look up his YouTube videos, they're a blast. They're really fun to watch him do all this. But that's was my sidetrack. July was huge. Um I don't want to talk about it too much, but part of our July was my dad had an accident, and he's fine. He's going to be fine. But that was a big part of our July, was helping out mom with doctor's appointments and making sure he was okay and making sure the farm's set up. And that all happened right before Fair Week. And this year we have two in Fair Week, Eb and Evie, and this is Evie's first year. And there was a lot of like running and stress, and thank God I have so many siblings because they helped so much in the run up to Fair Week. My youngest sister,
they dominated.
My kids dominated for sure. They killed it. I mean, like last year, Eb, he did fantastic. I was floored. He got into state fair with one of his projects in his very first year. He got a reserve grand champion last year. He got like a reserve champion with his chicken last year. Like he did amazing. And I was like trying to warn him. I was like, okay, you did really good last year. That doesn't mean that you're going to do that good this year. And that's a really high expectation. Like mom didn't get to go to state fair until I was like my 5th year in 4-H. So it's really cool that you got to go your first year. It's okay if that doesn't happen this year. Well, I didn't need to worry. They did really good. Edie, or dog obedience has been really challenging for her. And agility has had its ups and downs. Dog agility with our dog Ember has had its ups and downs. Sometimes she does fantastic and it's great, and then sometimes it's horrible and she doesn't pay any attention and doesn't want to do her jumps. But for the show, for dog agility, she nailed it. She did so good and had such a good time. And they both did great in their chicken show. Evie placed first in her class, and if I had been setting up classes, she would have gotten champion because that class should have had a champion instead of just a first blue. But she did really good. And both of them have a project going to state fair. And just totally blown away. Loved it. It was a good week. Like I said, I'm super thankful for siblings though, because my youngest sister and her fiance, the night before the posters were due, stayed up late with the kids because I had been running with mom to help with dad. And so they stayed up with the kids and Chris stayed up with them and finished their posters the night before everything was due. And if anybody else is in 4-H, is that a tradition for you too? Because that's kind of how it's always happened my whole life, is there's always something that's getting finished the night before. So we're actually going to the state fair this Saturday because they don't know how they did on their projects at state fair yet. So we're going to go up this Saturday and see how they did on their projects. My sister Hannah, my youngest sister went up last week, but she wasn't able to find their projects because it's huge. I mean, the state fair is gigantic, and so it's kind of hard to get through everything. So that was awesome. And then we went to go see these people who we kind of like and live in Kentucky. And that was okay, I guess. But why do we always bring storms? You're muted.
Yeah, I muted because I kept coughing. I was afraid I was going to cough every single time, at least for the last year.
Yeah, like the last 4 times we visited, because when we came in winter, there was an actual snowstorm and we lost power.
Yeah.
And then was it March? We lost power again.
Mm-hmm. And that was really bad, damaging winds.
We lost power again. It wasn't as
Did
long.
we?
Yeah. It wasn't as long. But we totally lost.
Happens every single time. Listen, Halloween, I don't have time for that, okay?
I didn't want to do it the other times. It was not by choice. The kids think it's like the biggest adventure, though. When we didn't have power in the winter that one time, they're like, oh, Mom, it's like we're in the frontier or something. Like we were using candles and we were using flashlights, and that was really cool.
Glow
Like,
sticks.
yep,
Shane had the fancy glow sticks.
uh-huh. Yep, that was really cool. So yeah, we went to Shane and Amanda's and managed to make them lose power again. Because apparently that's a tradition now. What else did we do in July? I'm trying to remember. Oh, well, so we started milking 2 cows in July. So quick farm lesson. Dairy cows are like any mammal, and they can't make milk unless they have a baby. And eventually their milk starts to slow down, and in order to refresh their milk, they have another baby. And on our dairy, on mom and dad's dairy, it's not my dairy, it's their dairy. They give the cows a break for 2 to 3 months before their next baby is due, so that it increases the longevity and the health of the cows, because they get a rest, they get to go be on pasture before their babies do, they get to rebuild all their minerals. But they are seasonal, so almost their whole herd is bred to have all of their babies at the same time, like in the span of about a month, which has taken several years to make work and get them on the same schedule. So they have a break from the very end of July to the beginning of September with how it all, eventually works out. And so we're spoiled and love farm milk. And because we're family, it's legal for us to get milk from the farm. And I did not want to go without farm milk. So there were several cows who weren't ready to go dry yet. It wasn't time for them because they were bred outside of that window of time. So they could have gone dry, but they would have been dry for a lot longer because they're not going to have their babies until like October or November, instead of in September with the rest of the cows. So mom and dad were like, so you can milk them by yourself if you want. You want to still have milk? And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do because I'm psycho. So we have 2 cows that we are milking that are mom and dad's, and we go over to their parlor and we milk them once a day because they're far enough, like they're close enough to being dried off that it won't hurt them for us to just do once a day. Normally they would need to be milked twice a day. And we've been making all the dairy things. We have made ice cream on top of ice cream. We've made oodles of butter. We have made mozzarella cheese. That's delicious, finally. I finally figured that out. Took me a while to figure that one out. We made ricotta cheese 2 different ways. We made cottage cheese that is horrible. Do not recommend. Don't try.
I don't recommend cottage cheese anyway. Shay can tell you stories about my traumatizing him with cottage cheese.
Well, like I don't like cottage cheese by itself, but I love lasagna made with cottage cheese.
That's the trauma.
Oh,
That's the trauma.
oh no. Oh no.
So, just really quickly, I don't cook
Mhm.
ever.
Mhm.
I hate it. There's nothing enjoyable about it for me. Um, but I got it in my head that now that I was married, I had to be a good cook.
Mhm.
And so Shane was going to teach me, and like once a week, I would cook dinner. And one of my favorite foods is lasagna. And Shane was going to have to work late. And so I was going to have to cook it by myself. I was like, this is fine. I found a super easy recipe on Pinterest. It's no big deal. I got this. And I don't like cottage cheese anyway. Like, I figured out the lasagna I like is the ricotta cheese.
Yeah.
I didn't know you're supposed to drain cottage cheese. And so I took it directly, like, just dumped the whole
Uh-huh.
packet out
Uh-huh.
and then baked it.
Uh-huh.
And nothing else about it was good anyway. I think I even used like 2 things of cottage cheese.
So made was a cottage cheese casserole.
Yeah, and it was disgusting. I hated it. Poor Shane. I took 1 bite. Shane was like several bites in. I took one bite and was like, "This is nasty. I'm not taking another bite of this. This is disgusting." And he's like, "Oh, thank God." The animals, we threw it outside. The animals wouldn't eat it. So, yeah, we don't do cottage cheese here ever.
Well, I may never make cottage cheese after this again. It was awful. I may never eat it again because I don't like it by itself. And I've only recently found out that you can make lasagna with ricotta. My mom always made it with cottage cheese, and I was like, ricotta is so easy compared to cottage cheese. I can make ricotta all day long. Oh, y'all, cottage cheese is just gross.
It is.
Just a whole lot of no, okay? Just no. So, one of my goals for myself this year, because I don't like to do, what are they called? Resolutions. Don't love resolutions. I like thinking about a word for the year or having like, okay, this is something I want to do this year or someplace I want to go this year. Well, one of my things for this year was I wanted to learn how to make 3 different types of cheese. And because someday I think I have it in my head that I would want a dairy cow. And that's another reason that we took on the dairy cows, is because I wanted to practice and see if that's even something we could handle, or are we going to be drowning in milk? FYI, we're drowning in milk. So I was like, if I had a cow, I would want to make cheese. So I want to figure out how to make cheese before we get the cow to see if we even like it and if it's even going to work. So, and by 3 cheeses, I meant like there's 1,000 kinds of cheese, guys. Like, it's ridiculous. So I wanted to make something that you like press and could age and keep for a long time, though, because there's so much milk, but you don't have milk all year when you have a cow. And so I wanted something that would still be there when we were done with the cow. So I had bought a cheese course like 2 years ago, and I finally tried to make Asiago this year. And Chris made me a cheese press, and bless his heart, it's so out of his comfort zone, and he did a good job on it, and it's exactly like it's supposed to be. And I tried it, and I could tell, like, we went through the whole cooking process, and you take the cream off before you cook it, and you get it to the right temperature, and you do all these things. And I finally got it out of my brine, and it looked swollen, which it's not supposed to be, in case you were wondering. And then I went to do like this, and I could hear it go squish, 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 like I was squeezing a sponge, which is
Sounds
also
fun.
not supposed to do. It was, if I wasn't so mad, it would have been fun. I was mad though. There was like at least 6 hours worth of work into this cheese, not counting building the press and milking the cow. Like I was mad. Um, and so I had read all about like the dangerous contaminations or yeast contaminations and things to look for. And I cut it open, and sure enough, there's all these holes. So that one was a flop. So tonight, before we got on the call, I was making it again because I was like, I will make this work. So we looked up all the things that could have gone wrong, tried to negate as many of those things as we could. So I also was trying to make vanilla, and I added too much salt and accidentally turned it into butter pecan by
Listen,
adding, and I'm not mad about it. It's pretty tasty.
no, that's what we want in life. Like, vanilla is my favorite, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you just need a good butter pecan ice cream.
Oh man, it's so good. It's such a good butter pecan ice cream. I'm very happy with it because I tasted it and I was mad at first because I was like, this is not vanilla. This is not going to work for vanilla, because that's what I was trying to make. And then I was like, oh, wait, this is butter pecan without pecans. And so I put some pecans on it, and I was like, this is the best butter pecan I've eaten in my life. So it's okay. We fixed it. We fixed it.
And also, I appreciate that you call it pecans
Yeah. Instead
because
of
it is not a can of peas.
No, instead of pecans, it's not pecans, it's pecans.
No, yeah, pecans is what I've got in my cabinet next to the pecans.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, let's see what else has been going on. My middle turned 10.
She's such a cute tin.
He's a very cute 10.
I've seen
And
the video of her getting her gift like 5 times.
I love it. It makes me so happy. So, she has wanted something with wheels for every birthday and Christmas for the last 3 years. And she's been very patient and very understanding that that hasn't been in mom and dad's budget. And then when it finally was in mom and dad's budget, she was too big for the ones that were in mom and dad's budget. Because those little battery powered ones only go up to like, I don't know, 60 pounds. And she's just kind of edging over that. Like, I don't know, maybe she's bigger than that now. I don't know how much she weighs. So we started like at 10, they get a little bit bigger budget for their 10th birthday because we're like, we made it to double digits. We're going to have a bigger birthday. You get to decide what you do with your bigger budget. And she, before Christmas, was like, Mom, do you think it's enough to get something with wheels? And by something with wheels, she's not talking about a bicycle. She's not talking about a scooter. She wants a motor with wheels. Like that's what she wants. She doesn't care if it's a dirt bike, if it's a four-wheeler, if it's a go-kart, whatever it is. She just wants a motor with wheels. So I started looking, and y'all, four-wheelers are freaking expensive. I sort of knew, but they've gotten even more expensive in the last 2 years, like exploded expensive. So I was looking for used, and I was looking for used, and I was looking for used. And my dad was like, okay, I'm going to pitch in on this project, and you're going to look on Amazon for a little kid one. And so we found a kid one on Amazon, pink, and you could pay a little extra and it would be assembled already for you. And so he's like, I'm paying the extra and you're going to get it assembled. And so we got it in. I think it's fun. It is so fast. And she is just loving it. Almost every single morning since her birthday, she has gone out first thing and uncovered it and taken a little tool around and ridden around. So probably one of the most satisfying gifts I've ever given in my whole life because she's just so tickled by it. So thankful for it. Um, let's see, we had VBS. And then we have been trying to tackle the house before we start school. We have not started school yet. We're going to start school next week on August 21st is going to be our first day, I think. And I would really, 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 really like to start with a mostly clean house. So we've made it through my school shelf, and that way I was able to kind of look and see what I still had and what I needed to get. We did our game shelf and the playroom, and all of our instruments are in there, and the kids' toys and stuff are all in the same room. We've gotten the kitchen tackled, and I'm super proud of myself because every time we've done a room, we have gotten rid of at least 3 trash bags full. Most of the time, it's more like 4 or 5 trash bags full of stuff. Chris has been helping me tackle the rooms on the days that he doesn't have very many clients, and it's been really nice. It just feels really good. We have the main rooms left that I want to get done are the living room. I want to do a really deep clean in the living room, and we're going to take our big rug out. And mom and dad have a really high power spray hose in the parlor, and I'm hoping that it works kind of like those videos you see where they use a pressure washer. That's my goal, is to get it like clean that way. And so we're going to do living room, and then my pantry is atrocious and stressful, and you can't find anything and you can hardly walk in it. So those are our next 2 to try to finish this week before we start school next week. So yeah, that's kind of been us. Is our garden. I haven't got a single blessed tomato out of our garden yet. I have all the tomato plants, but there's no tomatoes. Have not got a single ear of corn. Got lots of zucchini and squash. And Tori, the weeds have taken over some of our rows, and she dived in and goes, Mom, I found a beet. And you see a beet stick up out of the weeds above them, above her head, and it just trots down the row as she comes out of the garden with the
Is it?
It was so funny. Like you saw her dive into the weeds and you see the weeds shake as she goes all the way down the row of weeds, and then all of a sudden there's a hand with a beat above the weeds.
It's so cute.
Oh, it was great. So
See,
I've gotten flowers.
I just purchased mine.
Well, I have issues, okay? We've discussed this. I can't purchase kinds that I want because I want them all. And
Have you
nobody
ever
grows them all.
have you ever had a Granger tomato?
I don't think so.
I hate tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
I hate all tomatoes. I will not eat a Granger tomato either. However, it is my favorite to have in foods that I eat. So after reading, what was it that we read last fall, to end the fall season? Oh gosh, Love Comes Softly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I made the decision that I wanted to try canning
Mm-hmm.
because so much of that stuff is just a lost art.
Yes.
And like,
That's how I feel
it,
about this cheese. I'm like, this is wild.
yeah,
It's wild. The stuff we used to just make at home.
yeah. And like, if I feel like there's so many things that if we don't start making, we're going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
we're like a couple of generations away from never being able to do this again.
There's already things we've lost.
Yeah. So, um, I decided this year I was going to can. And on Prime Day, I bought all of my canning supplies.
Nice. That's a good
Uh,
Prime Day.
so, Sunday, well, I ordered some tomatoes. They're Granger tomatoes. They only come from Granger County, Tennessee.
Nice.
And I have a cousin that goes down and gets them, which I'm looking for. If anyone listening knows where I can find this, I'm looking for Granger tomato plants.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a fantastic gift for
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother
Mm-hmm.
if I could get a hold of that. Um, but I bought 2 boxes. They arrived on Friday, were dropped off with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom gave them to me on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and then I forgot they existed.
Oh no.
And I left them in my car overnight
Oh no.
and into the next day.
Oh
And
man.
it was very hot.
Did fruit flies in your car?
I didn't. And you know, it's funny. This is kind of embarrassing. But we got into the van on Sunday morning, and Shane goes, "What is that smell?" And I was like, honestly, it could be anything at this point. I'm not investigating. And we get to church, and my mom is like, "So when are you working your tomatoes?" And I was like, "This evening. I'm gonna do it this evening." And she's like, "Okay." And then she called, and I was like, "Shane, can you bring those tomatoes in?" She goes, "You left them in your car." I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine." And honestly, like the first box was perfect. There
Mm-hmm.
was one tomato we couldn't use out of that box.
Mm-hmm.
The second box, it had some issues, and we lost about half the box.
I'm
But
so
I was still able to do 19 pints
nice.
of stewed tomatoes.
Nice.
And then Shane had saved some to do salsa.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shane made homemade salsa Sunday night while I was doing the stewed tomatoes. And he ended up getting 17 pints. No, 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 no. 11. 11 pints
Nice.
of salsa. And then we had one, it wasn't going to fill up a good jar anyway. And so we just left it out. We're like, we'll use this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Amanda had mentioned before we started that Shane was like, I'll trade you salsa for cheese.
Yeah.
I was just thinking you were talking about lost art stuff. And like, that's something that I love doing when I can. Like, I have a friend, and on more than one occasion, I have bartered my elderberry syrup for her trimming our dog, giving our, like, grooming our dog. And we have other friends where we've bartered. They have beehives and they have honey, and it makes my soul so happy. And so we have bartered eggs for their honey. And we have other friends where we've bartered, like, milk for their vegetables because I don't have any vegetables yet. And y'all, I love that. Like, if you get to barter, do it, please, because it's just so satisfying to me. And you're supporting your friend and they're supporting you, and that's the kind of community that I love. I love it when you've got that kind of community going on. And I've got another friend who I'm like, so could I trade you some dairy products for a haircut? Because she's a hairdresser and she's really great, but she used to be a hairdresser. She doesn't do it anymore because she's staying at home with her kids, so she just does it for friends and family and stuff. And I'm like, so I would totally trade you some dairy products for your services. So yeah, tell Shane I'm on board if I can ever get this cheese to work.
All I've been able to think about is butter pecan ice cream. So
That I know works, and I can definitely get you butter pecan ice cream. Like, we're working on that. We broke out the really big ice cream maker, so it makes like a gallon at a time of ice cream, and that's what we're running tonight while I'm talking to you over the phone. It's running, and I'm going to go pack. I got these little quart containers off of Amazon, and I had the paper ones at first that looked like the little round takeout containers, but they cost more than the plastic ones. So they still kind of look like takeout containers. They're like, I don't know, that tall and around. And that's what we're putting the ice cream in, and I love them. They make me
I just want a small thing for my birthday.
We can manage that.
I'm coming up soon. Just a couple of weeks. I probably should have planned better for that.
I was going to say, come to my house during that time. You can have butter pecan before your birthday. We can make that happen. Pretty easy.
Yeah, it just hit me that I've not made arrangements for that. Probably should. Mercy me.
I don't know if we have it on the schedule for what we're doing for school this fall. Did we say we were going to talk about that one day?
Oh, we should probably talk about what we're doing this season because, like, okay, listen, y'all. It's been rough.
Yeah.
I've been building my soapbox over here.
You've been having some issues.
It is like things are going out of its way. Like, I don't want to blame God, but I also don't blame the universe because, like, that's not a thing to me. And so, like, I don't know what to blame. It's not me. I can tell you it's not my fault. It's probably mostly my fault. But like we recorded all these episodes and we were so good about it. We were so on track. And then the program that I use to edit goes down. And Shane figures it out and he fixes it. But I have to start all over with an episode I had almost done. And like this episode right now, we've been recording for 1 hour and 1 minute. It's going to take me about 2 hours to edit.
Mhm.
I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, but it always takes me an extra hour to edit. And our episodes are typically about an hour and a half long, so it takes me about 3 hours. So like that's 3 hours of work that I just lost and had to make up. And then we make it up and I get it uploaded. I was like, this is fine. We are on schedule again. We are ready to go. I lose the stupid flash drive that has all of our stuff on it and I can't finish it. without that flash drive because I also don't have enough memory on my computer to save the episodes.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, I've got to find that flash drive. I have to find it. And I finally find it. And then it's like, oh, we're here and we're here and we're here and we're here. And I'm taking my computer with me. But every day is like so jam packed. I don't have time to edit any of it. And so finally, today, it is August 15th. I edited and completely finished every single episode of last season, the day that we're recording the new season. So this doesn't feel like a new season for me. It feels like just a continuation.
You didn't get your break. You didn't get your break.
It's been complete chaos, complete and utter chaos. But I haven't told you about this yet.
Mm.
Okay, so there's this cute little shop in town. It's called
Mhm.
Pearl Apparel,
Ooh.
and it's adorable, and I love it. And like, it's super affordable.
Uh-huh.
I got the cutest tote bag there the other day, um, made in the shop for $12.
Whoa.
It's like a little canvas tote. And so it's like a boutique without boutique prices.
Nice.
And they are like consider it a ministry and a mission. And it's why they sell their stuff so inexpensive. I don't want to say cheap because it's like it's not cheap stuff. It
Mhm.
is good quality. Um, but I ordered a shirt for E for when I took him to the Osborne Brothers Festival.
Nice.
And they made me a shirt with the Osborne Brothers on it. And I go in to pick it up, and I was out to work on it on stuff for the podcast anyway. And like that was my next stop was going to a coffee shop. They have tables and couches and stuff set up there, and they have snacks and coffee by donation only.
Yes.
And so like I paid $3 for 2 cups of coffee. And I could have still, like, even their suggestion, I could have still gotten a pastry and just didn't want one that day.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay. But while I'm sitting there editing, I like am wrapping up and I walk over to get something. And the girl checking me out, like, I know her, but still was like, are you working on Unvarnished Mamas today? And I was like, yes. And she goes, I thought that was you and Diana I saw over there on your computer. And I thought that might be what you were doing. And I was like,
I'm getting red.
do you listen to our podcast? She's like, well, I didn't listen until you guys were on YouTube. And like, I've seen a couple of your things come up on TikTok, like your clips. And like the ones that I feel like I could relate to, I'll go back and watch those episodes. And I was like, you were the first one I found in the wild.
Listener in the wild. I love it.
Uh, so, like, yeah. Um,
Yay.
but coming up this season, what have we got coming up this season?
Well, we're gonna revisit the book Woman of Troublesome Creek. We tried
Yes.
that. Gosh, was that in the spring?
Spring.
And Diana had a mental breakdown and couldn't quite finish it.
Don't
So
blame you.
it was some of that was rough, but I mean,
Yeah.
like there's parts of it that are I love because it gives you such a picture of Appalachian life.
Yeah. That's what I love about it.
It gives you such a like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a complete immersion into Appalachian life. And that's the good parts, like the beautiful parts about it and what keep you going in it. There are hard parts in it. So if any of our listeners are particularly sensitive, go on something like Goodreads and look up some reviews on it. Like go ahead and look for some spoiler reviews just before you read it. So we're going to do that one. We are going to read oh, how's the title go? I always say it
Are
wrong.
you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
God, it's me, Margaret, and we're gonna watch the movie and review both of them at the same time and talk about them both at the same time. We are.
Oh, do you know what I just thought about?
What did you just think
When
about?
is that coming up? Okay, it's coming up about a month apart, but hear me out. What if we went live
Sure,
on YouTube to watch that movie together?
that'd be fun. I've never done that before. We're gonna have to
I
figure that
haven't
out.
either. Yeah,
I
I
think that
think
would
that
be.
could be fun.
Oh yeah, I think that would be great.
There's an idea. No promises, but it could be really fun.
I'm kind of like going brain dead now. I know we have a lot of other things we're talking about.
The
We're talking
last
health because we've been talking about mental health as moms. I think we decided we were going to talk about physical health as moms this season.
okay, for some reason, I don't have your stuff down on the schedule.
I don't
I don't
know
know
why.
why. I don't know why I don't have it on the schedule. Um, for my stuff, I have um doing a summer reflection and end of the year plan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and how to plan for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys, this is an art for me.
Well, with all of the holidays you guys celebrate, it is an art because you have so many places to go.
I start in June.
Mm-hmm.
I start the planning in June. And that's why I was like, okay, I know it's going to be the end of September and I know some people are going to come for me. But if you want it like stress free ish holiday, like I have a lot of really good tips and tricks on how to make it as stress free as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help you out with your in-laws, but I can help you out with your budget.
I am hoping, I'm still talking to her, but I'm hoping to interview one of my sisters for our interview this season. We have talked about her briefly before that she's an ER nurse, or she was an ER nurse. She recently transferred departments. And I just thought it'd be fun to talk to her about when do you go to the ER? When do you wait for going to your regular doctor? Um, what are some things you can do at home? What to expect when you go to the ER? What do you need to come prepared for? Um, yeah, I was thinking hopefully we can get her interviewed.
Yeah, that would be fun. I've never actually had a conversation with this woman.
That is
We have
so
never.
because I talked to her about you, her, and like in my brain, you guys are interwoven and have met each other and know each other, but you actually have not met each other.
Now that I'm thinking about it, we've never interacted with each other at all. We haven't even liked each other's pictures on Facebook. We are Facebook friends.
Well, there you go. She's cool people.
She is.
She's very cool people.
I'm a big fan of your oldest sister and your youngest sister.
Well, my oldest sister is the one I'm talking about. I'd interview. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't, it's not that I don't like the other siblings. I have no, like, no offense. I just don't have any opinion because I don't know them.
And
I
a
don't
lot
follow,
of other ones.
yeah.
There's a lot of
Uh,
us.
I feel like your next to oldest sister is basically another firstborn. Look at
Yeah.
some of the conversations we've had as far as her like involving herself in the lives of the other siblings. It sounds very similar to
Hmm.
being firstborns.
Hmm.
And then your youngest sister's gonna pay me, so I get to photograph her wedding, and I'm so excited. And at this wedding the other day, I was like, "Hey, Shane, are you taking notes? Do you see what that photographer's doing? I want to do that. Hey, Shane, remind me to bring this when we go up to that wedding."
Yes.
So I'm very excited.
Yep. Uh, so my youngest sister is engaged and we love her fiance dearly. He's fantastic and they are perfect for each other. And they are extreme planners. They are not getting married until not this coming fall, the next fall. And they've already reserved Shane and Amanda as their wedding photographers.
Told us what hotels we should go to.
On the ball. Like they are on the ball. They've got the church, they've got their wedding photographers, they've got their bridesmaids and groomsmen picked out, they've got their reception all picked out. They are on the ball. And sometime this fall, we are going to go, to me and her and one of the other sisters and my mom, we're going to go dress shopping at some point. And I'm looking forward to that. It's just going to be fun.
That seems early.
Yeah.
And like, I get it, but I guess I'm traumatized because y'all know my story.
I know we've had conversations with her about it, but she's so excited and she's so ready to get it. And so we're going to go shopping.
I get it. Completely get it. I had my dress in less than 30 days of the engagement.
Yeah, she's so pumped. She's ready to go get it. And I'm like, you know what? This is just fun. It's going to be fun to go do it and shop with her. And I'm excited. So it's going to be good. So those are the things that I can remember that we're talking about this season. I know we have other things coming up.
We have our catch ups.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, guys, this is going to be our last season of the year.
Yep. We may do some bonus episodes for around Christmas time, but we decided we're not going to do anything between the end of this season and the beginning of next year because it was just a lot. We needed to focus on our families during that time. So I think our last episode is like what, October or something?
In theory, it's October 18th. In reality, this episode was supposed to have been up 3 days ago.
Oops.
But like, it just didn't work out for us. We've had a lot going on. So it is what it is.
Our last episode sometime around my birthday.
Yeah.
That'd be
It's
okay.
like a possibility. And then maybe we'll do a surprise episode at my birthday or something.
I like it. It's a good one.
Yes.
So, well, thank you for coming along with us, guys, and catching up. Was there anything else you had, Amanda?
I don't think so. It's very late for us.
It is. We're both
Both
kind
of us.
like droop. Because of the way our school schedule is going to be, we're kind of flopping from really early morning to later in the evening in order for both of us to line up. So we went from early morning sleepiness to late evening sleepiness.
Yes.
But we're excited to see you guys again, and we look forward to talking to you next time. And until then, please look for the beauty in your unvarnished life this week. We love you guys.
Bye.